Welcome to our webinar, Refresh, Not Restart. I'm Mr. Greg from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord. Thank you for joining us, taking some time out of your schedule to hang out with us for a little while for this webinar. Listen, it's a new year. We've all got resolutions. I don't make resolutions. I don't get it. Set goals. And I know one of the things that we're always thinking about is how can we do better in our classrooms? And so that's where this webinar came from. That's where this idea came from is what can we do to refresh our classrooms but not restart? So the idea is not to scrap it all and start over. If you want to do that, go for it. But it's thinking about what little tweaks can we make to improve things in our classroom. So that's what this entire webinar is all about. And so I'm really excited because I have some really cool things to share with you. Before we get into it, I want to go through some webinar tips. Close all the tabs on your browsers, except this one, of course. That just frees up resources for your computer, makes things easier. Any tech issues, audio, sound, whatever, hit refresh. That usually fixes it. You are getting a certificate for one contact hour. You are getting a freebie, an entire free file. It looks like this. It's very cute. You're also getting some really good special offers. This will all happen during the webinar and towards the end of the webinar. So be watching for those links. They do pop up during the webinar. The certificate, the freebie, special offers, they come a little bit towards the end of the webinar, but just know they're coming. Be watching for those. You also will receive an email immediately after the webinar with all of those links as well. So be watching for those. So like I said, in this webinar, we're going to be talking about some areas to refresh, some areas to tweak in our classrooms, in our practice to make our classrooms run smoothly, make our teaching more effective, to impact our kids more. We're going to talk about some games and activities that we might do. And I'm going to share some of my favorite resources that you can use in your classroom. So I'm not going to give you it's not going to be a list of things to do. Like I'm not going to say change this, change this, change this, because I don't know your classroom. I don't know what's working. I don't know what's working. So it's going to be more of a hey, these are some areas, some things to think about. This is what I would do. Here's some ideas for those. So really it's kind of that, it's not like a checklist, right? It's just going to be like Mr. Greg talking to you about, think about this. Here's some things you could do, but really what can you do for this area without, Mr. Greg telling you like, number one, do this. Number two, do this. Number three, do this. Nobody wants that, right? Y'all don't want me to sit up here and make a list of things for y'all to do. I get it. I don't want that either. All right. Okay, here we go. Listen, here's the thing. Classrooms are gross. We just know the kids are germy, right? They lick everything. They touch each other. They sneeze in our faces. They sneeze right in our eyeballs. So the first thing to think about as you head back into your classroom, and this was something I always did, I always do when I head back after this long break we have, is a clean classroom. If nothing else, I want that classroom to be clean when we walk in. I've been lucky the last couple of years in my school, the custodial staff has been amazing. They keep our school clean, they keep the classrooms clean, but it's always nice to come in and, do a little bit of deep cleaning, because I do like to walk into that fresh, new, clean classroom in January. So that's my first thing. And I know some of y'all are going to be mad because I'm mopping my floor. It's not in my contract. If I do that, whatever. Do what works for you. Do what's best for you. But I'm just sharing what I like to do. And for me, that is walking into a clean classroom. So usually I try to do this like right before break, before we leave for break. But if I don't get to it, I'll come in and do it again, just so it's clean, right? You just walk into a clean space. It just feels new. It feels refreshed. Keeps me in a better headspace as we head back into the classroom. So there you go. You can be mad at me for mopping my floor or not, but we're going to have a clean classroom. Now, I know this right here is, I want to say obvious, but I know it's not for everybody, and that's okay. But this is something that if you want the second half of the school year to go well, to be easier, I'm not going to say easy, I'm not going to say perfect, I'm not going to say good, to go well, to be easier, to go more smoothly, you got to start here. So I want you to head back into your classroom whenever you go back next week and think about this. Think about it as the first day of school. because we know first day of school, first week of school, this is where we are, right? We're teaching those routines and expectations explicitly. We're practicing, we're modeling, we're doing all the things with routines and procedures. So you want to do the same thing when you head back in January, because guess what? Kids forget they've been home for how many days, right? We've been home for how many days in our pajamas, binge watching all the things. So we're going to need to review these too, right? Because we forget how to take attendance, right? We should have a whole webinar on what teachers need to refresh for ourselves. So we want the kids to practice, to remember, right? Because the thing is, it's just like academics. If we don't teach it, and if we don't practice it, and if we don't review it, we forget it, which we're actually going to talk a lot about in this webinar. So we can't hold them accountable if we don't review and practice it. So that's what we're going to do this first week or two back, is really focusing on those routines and expectations so that the kids and you can have a better, more smooth, enjoyable second half of the school year. I'll say it again. Don't skip this. Don't rush through this. Don't expect that your kids are going to walk in your classroom door Monday or Tuesday and remember exactly what to do. All right? They're going to remember some a lot, but they're going to forget some and a lot. So, routines and expectations. So, here's what I want you to do. And this is how I kind of always approach this middle of the year break, and when we come back from this break, is think about in your classroom what wasn't working, or what wasn't working as well as you had hoped it was, right? And that's where you want to focus, because with those routines and expectations, some things are going to be going well, right? Like last year for me, it was my kids lining up. They really had a hard time lining up. So when we came back in January, that was where a lot of our focus was that line. They did great walking in the hallway. We didn't really spend a lot of time on that when we came back, because we had that one and they got that one. Centers. When we come back in January, it's always something that I try to really tighten up on, are centers in the classroom. So that's an area that I'm going to focus on. Getting supplies, because we do use community supplies. It can be a little slow. So that's an area that we try to tighten up on. Those are areas that I know aren't working as well as I want them to. And so we're going to change that. That might even, in the example of community supplies, I might even be physically moving some things around in the classroom, right, to make that work. So think about the areas that aren't working, and that's where you want to focus. Don't redo everything. You can if you want, go for it. There's no reason, I'm not saying you can't, but not everything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? So, and what I actually do is I actually make a physical list. I like to write things in my notebook. So make a list of those things so then I don't forget and I don't skip over them. And I can look at that list and be like, oh yeah, we're going to work on that. So that way it keeps you on track. You notice what's on the screen. And so I'm going to tell you, this is an area that you need to tweak, focus, improve on. I have seen thousands of teachers across social media talking about their kids talking, making noises. And what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? So if you're looking for something to help, I'm not going to say it's going to solve the problem, but if you need something to help with your very talkative, chatty, noise-making class, this is what you need to focus on. You need to get a doorbell. And so we love our doorbell because it's made by teachers for teachers. It's the only doorbell available made by teachers for teachers. And what we love about it is it works. It works to get the kids quiet. It gets them their attention. Now, do they know what to do if we don't teach it? Absolutely not. So that's a routine and expectation. So we're going to teach them that when that doorbell rings, that means stop, still, quiet. Look at me. And so that's just something that I'm encouraging you to focus on when you head back into the classroom. And we have the perfect tool for you. Also, you can even look at that. It comes on a lanyard. You don't need anything extra. Plug it in. It's on a lanyard. It's sparkly. And you're ready to go. So there's your first thing. Get yourself a doorbell. The doorbell by TKS. And that's going to help. I promise. Now, I do want to kind of go through this quickly. Again, I know this is really kind of preaching to the choir, but I think sometimes we forget, right? We get so busy, we get into our routines and things that we know how to do, we forget. We're also busy and we're getting bombarded with a lot of stuff, right? And so here's how I approach routines and expectations at the beginning of the year and when we come back from break. For those procedures that we really want to target, I'm going to name the procedure, lining up. So I'm going to say, today we're going to talk about how to line up. We're going to practice it. I'm going to explain the why. We need to line up quickly and quietly so that we can be safe, we can hear directions, and we're being respectful of everyone else in the building. I'm going to explain the procedure. I'm going to say, when we line up, we walk, we get in our spot, we face forward with our hands in a safe place and a quiet mouth. I'm going to model that. So I'm going to physically, literally get up, walk to where we line up, show them how to do it, right? And then I'm going to say, what did you see? What did you hear? What did you notice? And I'm going to have them talking about it. You walked, you were quiet, you faced forward, you got in your spot, you were still, those kind of things. Then the kids are going to do it. We're going to practice and we're going to talk about it. We're going to practice and we're going to talk about it. We're going to practice and we're going to talk about it. We're going to practice and talk about it. Practice, talk, practice, talk. Then, and I know this is controversial. Some of you are going to go, okay, sure. Some of you are going to be like, ain't doing it. You want a student to model a non-example. Basically, pick a kid and say, I want you to do it wrong. And turn them loose and see what happens. Maybe they run, maybe they talk, maybe they're spinning. Whatever kids do to get in line, And then you stop and you say, ooh, what did we notice? What's happening? And you have the kids talk about it. And then you say, how do we fix it? Help your friend, Adeline, fix that. Tell her what she should do. Here's the thing. Non-examples are okay as long as we address it. Now, if I just had a kid model the non-example and we don't talk about it, that's a problem. But having someone do it the wrong way, talking about it and then fixing it, that's powerful. And I hope you notice what's happening the whole time. We're talking about it, right? We're doing it, talking about it, modeling it, doing it, talking about it. What did you not see us do? What have I not mentioned? Screens. There are no slides. Because looking at a slide isn't really going to be beneficial to my kids when I need them to do it. So that's why when we're reviewing, practicing, teaching routines and procedures, we're doing it. I'm doing it. They're doing it. We're talking about it. And again, that's the key is talk, 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 talk. And this right here, explain the why. They need to understand why these routines and procedures are here. Not just because I like to be the boss, not because I'm mean, right? Not because I don't want you to run it, have fun and run. It's safety, right? It's respect. Explain the why. All right. One of the things that I love to do, and this is a very good back to school in January activity, is this name writing activity. So we actually do this 3 times a year. I know a lot of people will do it like as sign-ins and like monthly. That's great too. But we do it 3 times a year on chart paper and we display them in the classroom. So the first day of the school year, first day back in January, last day of the school year. So basically, here it is. It's our morning message. It says, good morning. Today is January 10th, 2022. Happy New Year. I'm so glad you're back. Love, Mr. Greg. And then the kids come up and sign their name. What's cool about this is that we have the chart from the first day of school. So I pull that one out. We put it next to this one and we have a conversation. What do we see? What do we notice? We've learned, we've grown, our handwriting is better. And guess what? That leads to conversations about how the second half of the year is going to be so much fun and so much great learning. And imagine if this is how good you did in the first half of the year, imagine what we're going to do the second half. And so use this opportunity. Yes, they're writing their name. Yeah, there's a lot, right, of benefit to this. But really the idea is it's like a pump them up, right? It's like a woohoo session, right? Because we come this far, now let's see what we can do the rest of the year and really impress people and really grow and learn and make ourselves proud. So that's really what it's about. It's that motivation, that confidence builder, And guess what? This is something we can be successful at on the first day back because everybody's going to do it. Everybody's going to do their best. We're going to cheer and scream and yell for everybody, no matter what their name looks like. And it's a great way to kind of ease back into the classroom, right? Now, basically the rest of this is just some areas that I want you to think about in your classroom, focus on, think about what can you tweak? How can you change this, right? I'll give you some ideas, but again, these are just areas to think about and focus. And I want you to, as we're going through this, get out your notebook with it's okay, you're on break. You can have a beverage, an adult beverage if you would like. And as we're going through some of these areas, I want you to start making a list of maybe this is an area you want to work on, but what are you going to do for that? Or make a list of your own areas that you want to focus on in your classroom. Share that with me. I would love to see it. This is a big one. And it's one of those things, it's so funny to me, social media just blows me away. But like, you'll see people and they're like, oh, handwriting, we don't teach that. It's okay. They're doing all right. And then you see people who are like die hard, like every kid has to form every letter perfect, or it's, a no-go. We're never going to get there. Not every kid is going to do every letter perfect. That's okay. But we're also not going to ignore the handwriting, right? And I know beginning of the year, explicit handwriting instruction is big, right? It's a huge focus for us during ABC Boot Camp. That's a big part of ABC Boot Camp is that explicit letter formation and handwriting. But it's not just a beginning of the year activity. It's not a beginning of the year focus. It's a year-long focus. I get it. Lots of 8 billion things happening during the school year. And so we're not necessarily focused on handwriting, but this time when we come back is a perfect time to focus on handwriting because handwriting directly impacts letter recognition and that impacts reading and writing. And so we're not talking about, we don't want them to have good handwriting because it's pretty, because it looks good. It's because it directly impacts their ability to read and write. When kids can write correctly and fluently, easily, when they can say a, and write that easily and quickly and correctly, it strengthens the ability to quickly identify, decode, and spell words because we're reducing the cognitive load, right? And so handwriting is a must. Now, did I say it must be perfect? No. But you want this to be something that you're spending time on, especially now. Because again, the kids have been home, they've been on screens, video games. So handwriting is going to look a little different than it did when they left. So this is a perfect opportunity to focus on that handwriting. Handwriting fluency strengthens early literacy. This is well documented. This is proven. When they have good handwriting, when they can do it easily and quickly, it improves their ability to read. Kids who write letters automatically have an easier time reading, spelling, and formatting sentences. Because guess what? We're really going to start moving into that writing sentences. I know, unfortunately, not appropriate. We shouldn't be doing it in kindergarten, but so many of our curriculums say paragraphs, right? Want to make that a little bit easier? They've got to be able to form those letters quickly and easily. Fluent handwriting frees up Fluent handwriting frees up working memory so kids can focus on decoding, fluency, meaning, etc. Because here's the thing, when we're telling the kids to write the word cat, we're asking a lot of them, right? They have to know the word. They have to be able to say the sounds in the word, right? They have to be able to know that k is a C. They have to be able to write the C. They also have to make meaning of that word, right? That's a lot. And so when they can do that fluent automatic handwriting, it frees up space to decode the word, to spell the word, and to make meaning. And so that's kind of where we are at this point in the year with handwriting, is we want it to be good, we want it to be fluent and automatic, so we can really free up that cognitive load, free up that brain power to focus on other higher order critical thinking skills that our kids need. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips for handwriting. Okay, so we're going to focus on it. We want it to be better. What can we do? Friction. Friction builds muscle memory. Muscle memory makes that handwriting fluent and automatic. It just helps the brain remember how to do it, right? Whiteboards are great. We love our whiteboards and dry erase markers because they're easy. They're not messy, right? We all have them in our classroom, but there's no friction. So what can we do to bring friction into our classroom? The best thing you can do for handwriting, I'm going to give you two of my favorites, chalkboards. Because chalk on chalkboards is friction. It is so good for their handwriting. So I want you to notice we are using these little chalkboards. They're square. They're about this big. My mom made them for my kindergarten class about 15 years ago. They're still going strong. They're amazing. They're squares of wood. Mom painted on top of them with chalkboard paint, and that's it. And we use them all the time in our classroom. So DIY and they don't have to be big. I think they're like a little bit bigger than like a foot, like a square foot, because you can see how big they are compared to the tile. So they're a little bit bigger than a tile on the floor. And then I just buy a bunch of chalk on Amazon, throw it in a box, and when we use the chalkboards, they just get a piece of chalk and go. The thing I do with the chalk is I don't give them the full piece. I do break it because that helps, again, with their handwriting. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm a little weird, and actually I'm a lot weird in a lot of ways. The erasing the chalkboards makes my skin crawl. Like y'all, like I can't. It just, even just thinking about it, I'm like I just want to walk away now. But guess what? I deal with it because it's so good for the kids. The other thing, it's messy, y'all. It is so messy because it's chalk dust. But guess what? That's part of the fun. Kids love to make a mess. And so when we can build the friction in and make a little bit of a mess, go for it. You're just adding some fun to that. The thing I want you to notice is in this picture, we're not doing necessarily letters. We're working on CVC words. But guess what we're also focused on? The handwriting. So when I say, all right, everybody write jug, I'm also going to say, I'm looking for good handwriting. And so one of the things that I'm watching for is their letter formation. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be taught in isolation. It should, because you want to practice it right explicitly, but handwriting needs to be integrated into whatever you're doing. So when you're doing phonics activities and whole group or small group dictation activities, make sure you're paying attention to the handwriting and make sure the kids are focused on their handwriting as well. Now, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be writing on your chalkboards. The kids are going to be covered in chalk dust. You're going to have chalk dust on you. Everybody's going to be having a good time because we're using some friction to write our letters. And this happens. F-U-K. I'm pretty sure, about 99% confident, I didn't tell them to write that word. Who knows what she was trying to write? I keep trying to go back to this lesson and trying to remember what word did I give them that she messed up. I'm thinking maybe fun, fox, I don't know. But there you go. But guess what? She had some pretty good handwriting, so that's a win. Chalkboards. The other way, if you don't want to do chalkboards, I get it. They're kind of messy. The other way to get some friction in your classroom is just with paper and felt tip markers or felt tip pens. Think flare pens, but we're not giving the kids the flare pens because they're expensive. I don't like the flare pens. Not a flare pen guy. Give me my ink joy any day. But that's what we're talking about. Those felt tip pens. You know why they're so good on paper? Friction. And so you can get them on Amazon. We actually have a link. We'll send you a link to some that we found that we like, the ones that we use. I buy them in bulk. They're in my small group area. They're in my community supplies. And so when we're doing some writing, when we're doing handwriting, when we're in small groups doing word work, we use pencils, but we also will use the felt tip markers just for that friction piece. So here are a couple activities I want to share with you. For this one, they're using bingo markers, right? The bingo dabbers. And so basically what I'm saying is I said the word beg. And so the kids would say b-e-g. They will segment it and then they will say b-e-g. They will put the circles with their bingo marker. And then they're using their felt tip markers to map the sounds, to spell the sounds into the circles. So we're going to say the word, we're going to segment the sounds. They're going to basically map the sounds, b, e, g, with there being a marker. Then they're going to spell the sounds, and then we're going to decode the word. Because we're using that felt tip marker, they've got the friction, so we're focused on the handwriting, but we're also getting a lot of phonics work in there, right? The other one over here, it's a little bit harder to see. This one, they're using stamps, like holiday stamps. Go to Dollar Tree, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. They'll have like those, the little self-inking stamps where you give them to the kids and a kid shows up with like stamps all over them. That's what I'm talking about, right? Same thing. You say lip, it, p. They say the sounds, then they take their little stamp and they will say it, p. And then they take their felt tip marker and they write the sounds, they read the word. So what we did was we pulled in that handwriting piece with the friction, right? But we had some fun. We gave them something new, a new fun way to work on some of those phonics skills. So we've got some fun, we've got some fresh ideas, and we're using friction for handwriting. This next section is something I've really been focused on the last year or so, because we all know so much now about the science of reading. We know it's not a pendulum swing, right? We know it's not going anywhere. We know it's 70 plus years of research on how kids learn to read and write. We know the reading rope. We know all the things, right? But there's also this bigger picture of that called the science of learning, which kind of incorporates the science of reading. It's all kind of this big thing about how the brain works and how kids learn, what we need to be doing in our classrooms. And so one of the things that we know because of the science of the research and because, we're professionals and we've done this, we do this for a living. We're trained experts in our field, so we actually know this stuff, is review. Kids need constant review. So do adults. Because here's the thing. Our kids are not mastering skills. They're simply renting them. And that's a problem. That's why we're ending up with our upper grade teacher friends saying, why can't my kids add? Why can't they multiply? Because our kids aren't mastering skills. They're renting them. And here's why. This is not a teacher problem. This is not an us problem. This is a curriculum problem. I said it. Real talk, full transparency, curriculums and these scripted big box curriculums and these pacing guides and scopes and sequences being pushed out into our classrooms, these are the problem. Because I can speak for myself, and I know 95% of you have this problem because I hear you talking about it. You're constantly asking me how I'm dealing with it. We're all frustrated with it. Literally, it's a lesson a day. So I'm thinking like lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 5, lesson 6, lesson 7, lesson 8, lesson 9, lesson 10, assess. Oh, moving on. There's no built-in review. Again, that's not a teacher problem. That's not an us problem. That's a curriculum problem. That's a scope and sequence problem because we're not giving teachers the time, the autonomy to be the professionals that they are to teach their kids. We're covering some content. We're not mastering it. The kids are just renting it and then we're moving on because we have to, because it's what's being forced on us. But look at this. We forget, as humans, we forget 70 to 80% of new learning in 24 hours. Now, as a teacher, think about this. How many times have you said to your kids, oh my God, it's the 100th day of school. We've learned that. We've done this for 100 days. Right there. That's why. Because we forget 70 to 80% of what we've learned in just 24 hours. So, y'all, and this isn't a Mr. Greg talking. Yes, I'm kind of on my soapbox because yes, this is this is where I've been putting a lot of my focus with my reading and my research and my learning. 317 studies in the last few years have proved, again, we already know this because we're experts, repetition works. You know what repetition is? Review. You know why we need to review and repeat? Because we forget things, right? Now, this is not just a, oh, we learned our sounds, let's review them and move on. Oh, we need to review our sound. It's not that. It is, we need to review it the next day. We need to review it in 3 days. We need to review it in a week. We need to review it in 2 weeks. We need to review it in 6 weeks, in 2 months. It's not something that we just review a little bit and forget. It's a year-long thing. And so one of the things I do in my classroom with review is every morning we review our sounds and letters. In math, every time we start math, we review our numbers, right? Because kids need that. They need that constant review. Guess what? When we review those sounds and letters, every time we learn a new phonics pattern, it goes into that rotation for review. Because if we don't review it, they're going to forget it, right? So think about this. Here's another way to look at it. Let's say we've done CVC words. Now we're moving on to CVCE words. So when we're doing our whole group lesson on CVCE words, where we're building words and decoding them, guess what? I'm going to throw in some CVC words as well, right? That's the review. So it could be kind of in isolation, but you're also going to integrate that in what you're already doing, right? Because guess what? If it's integrated, you're still following the scope and sequence. You're just putting that review in what you're already doing. So there's an idea, right? And again, I know we're under a lot of pressure with pacing guides and curriculum, but figure out some ways to work in some review. Because without this review, again, we're not mastering content. We're covering it, and kids are renting skills, and then those skills are gone. All right. So this is why when I started thinking about this webinar, this was the first thing that I thought of, was this has to be in there, because this is something I really want you to tweak. This is a refresh that I want you to bring into your classroom when you come back, is making sure that you're integrating review into your classroom. So here are a couple of games that we use in our classroom that will work for literally any phonics skill, right? These can be tweaked for anything. This one we're using, we're just reviewing letters and sounds. We're using our letter and sound mnemonic cards. Just quick, easy review every day. Why do we practice our letters and sounds every day? And if you want to be good readers and good writers, what do you have to do? You have to practice. All right, here we go. Let's try it again. So just a quick review, right? Here's another one. We've done blends and digraphs. My kids were really struggling with digraphs, so we played this little buzzer game. Got these little, the bzz things on Amazon. We're just working on reviewing those digraphs because we needed some help with those. What sound? What is your tongue doing? Sticking out. What sound? Tell me what this is. Bat. Yeah. All right, everybody say bat. What sound did we hear? And how do we spell? T-H. All right. There's the doorbell. So also we're getting some segmenting, right? We could use the word in a sentence. We could pull in meaning. There's a lot of review happening. This could work for any skill. Think about vowels, middle vowels. You know how kids need to practice those all the time? This would be great for that, right? The picture cards you see, those are in our, you can get those in our store. All right. Here's another one. It's called Mixed Up Monster. It's more of a phonemic awareness game, but you can modify this for lots of things. You could use the monster idea for lots of review. One of the things that we do with our monster is handwriting. I take this little monster. I taped him on a bag, threw some letter cards in there. When the kids came up, they had to pick a letter. We had to say the sound and the letter. Guess what the kids did on their chalkboard? They had to form the letter. So it's a great way to bring in that handwriting as well. But this is also a great review activity for your classroom. Monster, tell us, what are they sitting on? They're sitting on a carpet. It's a carpet. All right, say carpet. Carpet. What sound did you hear? Good. Say carpet. Carpet. What sound did you hear? Good. So we sit on a carpet. Good. Thank you, Mix Up Monster. The kids, by the way, love Mix Up Monster. They think he's hilarious. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is a little phonics refresh. All right. So we've got our review, we've got some handwriting going on, right? We're going to have a clean classroom, tweaked some procedures, got our doorbell going, right? So let's talk a little bit about phonics refresh. So at this point in the year, a majority of our kids have probably done really well with letters and sounds. Some of them, not everybody, and that's okay because everybody learns differently at different paces, right? And we've started some CVC words. A lot of us are doing digraphs. A lady yelled at me the other day because my kids, I had showed a video of kids of us doing we were playing Tapple. And there were digraphs in there, and the lady was so mad at me because nobody starts digraphs at this point in the year. And I'm like, actually, yeah, they do. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought because see, I got all tore up about the I want to say, I almost said butt heads, the trolls on social media. So we're CVC words, blends, digraphs. We're starting, soon will be CVCE words. If you're a first grade teacher, you're doing vowel teams, R controlled vowels, all the things. And so we need to give our kids some tools to help those phonics patterns stick and to make learning them a little bit easier, right? At this time of the year, like I said, we're starting more writing, right? We're just adding a lot to them. And so we need to find some ways to reduce that cognitive load. One of the ways that we do this that is, again, solid, it is research proven, it is classroom proven. I see it happening in my classroom, embedded mnemonics. Embedded mnemonics are pictures in the shape of a letter or letters that make learning sounds and letters faster. So basically, it looks like this. This is a mnemonic. It's a van in the shape of a V, right? And so the kids will see, oh, van, V, that's an embedded mnemonic, right? It's a picture in the shape of the letter to help kids remember the sound. Now, these are great for beginning sounds. They're also great for all the sounds. And so we actually use these for all of the sounds in our classroom. So again, the science behind this is solid, but let me tell you, I've been doing this in my classroom the last couple of years, and I have seen tremendous impact of using embedded mnemonics, right? We know with embedded mnemonics, the research tells us that kids make fewer mistakes and they have better long-term recall. And that's a big piece of this. Think about that review because we forget 70 to 80% of what we learn. So we've got to review and practice. So guess what? This is part of our review and practice. And when using embedded mnemonics, we have better recall. So we're addressing that forgetfulness, right? We're helping the kids to master the content, remember the content. Embedded mnemonics are beneficial for all students, but can be especially beneficial for our English language learners and for those struggling readers who are having trouble with their sounds and letters, right? So again, we use these all the time in our classroom, love them because they work and they're fun and they're different. And so we actually had our own set of mnemonics created. We worked with a science of reading expert and had our creative director come up with these. So these are a lot of fun. We had a blast making these. So like EA and meat, it looks like meat. So like that's what we're talking about. Like kids are going to see that and remember it. D for dog. And it has like all the sounds. So G for goat, it looks like a goat, but also the soft G, giraffe, so it's a giraffe, right? They're so much fun. Octopus, pig. So like AY, it's in the shape of the letter, but it looks like hey, AYA and hey. So just a lot of fun, but again, huge impact in the classroom for those phonics skills. So here's a way we use them. Because now, guess what? I can go back. Can I just show my kids this card and expect them to know what it is? No, I have to explicitly teach that that's T, turtle, right? I have to explicitly teach that this is A, ape. So it's the long A sound, right? So we explicitly teach those, right? Once they learn those, then we get to use them for lessons, games, centers, small groups. And so they become a review tool, right? They become part of that fun and that review and that practice in our classroom. And so one of the things my kids love to do with our mnemonics are mystery words. So here's an example. So now what the kids are doing on their chalkboard or their whiteboard or paper is they're figuring out noodle, egg, taco, et. So they're writing their word. And guess what? With these mnemonic cards that we have, we can do CVC words, CVCE words, blends and digraphs, R-controlled vowels, vowel teams. We can do any phonics skill that we need, right? And so these are great. I use them in whole group games and activities. They're in our centers. They're in small groups. I pull them out for that daily review. It's just a way to refresh your phonics and give our kids some tools to make that easier. And again, it's about that cognitive load. Like, we're bombarding you with a lot. So let's give you this fun tool to lower that load a little bit. Now, this one, we're hitting the point in the webinar where some of y'all are going to hate me. Some of y'all are going to be like, and hopefully a couple of you are going to be like, yeah. Y'all, I know some of you are not going to like this. So I'm going to be gentle. Not really. We're still going to do real talk. It's time to go old school. Don't throw glue sticks at me. Here we go. I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. Y'all, it's time to get away from the slides. There, I said it. Now, put the glue sticks down. We're not throwing things at your computer. What do we talk about that it's causing such an issue with our students? Screen time at home. 100%. It's an issue. It is an issue in this house, right? Our daughter loves her iPad. Screen time is an issue. Listen, you want me to be real? I have a 6-year-old. She's in 1st grade. Her handwriting is atrocious. So when we're talking about that handwriting, the whole time in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm a hypocrite because my daughter has terrible handwriting. So screen time, it's a challenge for everyone. If you have kids at home, screen time is hard. But we know it's impacting our students. Guess what else is screen time? Hate me all you want, cuss me all you want, but we can't talk about the epidemic of screen time at home if we're not also talking about screen time in our classrooms. Because what is this? It's a giant screen. And so it's something that we've got as professionals, as people who want to solve problems, who want to help, who want to make a difference, who want things to be better. We have to be willing to have this conversation. Now, I'm going to say some things, a lot of opinion, a lot of research as well. I just want you to think about it. You don't have to agree. You don't have to love it, but think about it with an open mind. Because here's the thing. Kids staring at screens because we're using slides and everything. And now I know there's requirements, districts, curriculum. Okay. We're pros. We're experts. We can figure this out. Kids staring at slides, Mr. Greg, opinion, real talk, contributes to a lack of engagement because they're staring at screens at home. Then they're coming into our classrooms and they're staring at our screens. And so they're bored. There's nothing exciting. There's nothing new and novel. Listen, I went to school in the 80s and 90s. We didn't have anything in the screen, but listen, the moment somebody rolled that film strip projector in, or, when they started rolling in the TV, we were instantly engaged, silent, because that was new for us. That was novel for us. Screens are no longer new and novel for our kids. So this is going to be a big mind shift for us. We've got to shift away from screens so that we can engage our kids. Okay? I know y'all are mad at me. It's okay. I've seen some teachers on social media doing overhead projectors in their classroom. Sold. Go on Facebook Marketplace. You can find overhead projectors super cheap. Bring that into your classroom. How much fun is that for a whole group or centers, right? Okay? There it is. Screen time. It's a lack of engagement. They're bored. They're not excited by screens anymore. Guess what that leads to? Behavior issues. I know that we're struggling with really challenging behaviors this year. I think this is part of it. Do I think this is the only reason? No. Do I think this is the solution? No. Do I think this will help? Yes. I think if we can get more hands-on, more interactive, less screen time, I think we will see an improvement in some behaviors. Not all, not everyone's right, but I think it will help because when kids are not engaged, we get behavior issues. So if the screens aren't engaging them, let's figure out what we can do to engage them. All right. Here's the thing. This blew my mind. There was a survey several months ago that came out, and they surveyed kids and teens about devices and screen time. I think it was like 74% of the kids surveyed said they want less screen time. Not more, less. They said they wish they could have less screen time. They wish they could go outside. They wish they could go do stuff with their friends, but their families aren't letting them because we have, there's so much fear and there's so much, right? Like, oh, I don't want you to go on play dates. And so they're putting them on screens and the kids are saying, we want less screen time. So think about that in your classroom. All right. We've also seen a lot of school districts this year, especially, implement cell phone bans. And this is more, obviously upper grades, but it goes with what we're talking about. These schools that have implemented these phone bans, they're reporting that the kids are playing more games. They're having more conversations. They're doing more like drawing and writing, like all that stuff. And they've seen a noticeable seismic shift in what's happening in these schools and classrooms without phones. And so it's clear that when we can reduce screen time, we see lots of positive impacts. So that's what we're talking about here. So I think my clicker died. So Mr. Greg, you're saying, let's do less screen time. Let's make it more interactive. Let's go old school. You told me to buy an overhead projector, but I don't want to. What am I going to do? What's your solution? You don't do slides. You're saying, let's cut down on the screen time. Tell me how. Here we go. True story. Poster board. I'm not kidding. This is about 2 years ago. I started doing these poster board activities in my classroom. The kids are hooked. They're so engaged. They have so much fun with these. And you know what I love about them? They're so easy. It is literally poster board and sticky notes. Go on Amazon. I literally bought a box of like 100 pieces of poster board for like $10. And so what I do is I draw, I think of a theme. Guess what? Going back next week, guess what it would be? A disco ball. We're going to do disco ball letters, right? Does it have to be poster board? No. Paper, marker. When I say old school, I'm talking poster board, chart paper, markers, right? Hands-on. And I hate that we are in this time where hands-on manipulatives are considered old school because everything is so digital. Yes, they need technology, right? They need to learn how to use it, blah, blah, blah. But come on, poster board. I'm not kidding, y'all. That's the solution. I know a lot of you are like, this man is crazy, but it's true. 2 years of doing this in my classroom, the kids are loving it. It's fun, it's different, it's new, it's engaging, it's interactive, right? Because as we're building our mermaid words, one of the kids is coming up here moving the sticky notes around. Everybody else is doing it on their boards, their whiteboard, their chalkboard, or their paper, right? So interactive, and it's so much fun, and they're simple. So here's some examples. When we're doing CVCE, we're doing O, we do rose words, right? It's a rose. Dragon loves tacos, right? We're feeding the dragon. You can also do it in math. It's not just a phonics thing. It's math and phonics. This one, we're adding and subtracting, or making 10, or team number, whatever. Poster board. Literally, I get out a piece of poster board, I draw a picture, I color it, and I add some sticky notes. Or in this case, tacos. Poster board. I'm not kidding you. That's my solution. Here's an example. All right, so I need your help. Arr! Can you fill up my treasure chest?
Yeah.
All right. Pirate, y'all good. Get up here. All right. Everybody say. Right up. Everybody say. What sound? What sound? Right. Arr! I need a lowercase. So sounds and letters. We're saying it. We're seeing it. We're moving it. We're writing it. Guess what? I'm going to put this away. These all get laminated. When we do CVC words, we can do pirate CVC words, right? We can pull this out and use it again, right? And costume optional, but it's way more fun. Here's another one. Do it again. Math. Here. So carrots. Guess what book we had read? Tops and Bottoms. Great for plants, right? Here's another example. I get it. Curriculums. I get it. We have required curriculums we have to use. Our math curriculum is slide-based. It is all slides. So what we do is we figure out ways to take that slide and make it real. So this is a perfect example of how you can do this. Here's the lesson. This is it. 3 cows are by the tree, 1 cow's in the barn. How many cows are there all together? Right? We're talking about adding. Yeah, we can look at that and be like, okay, there are 4 cows. Not engaging, not interactive, not helping the kids learn. So guess what? We did it for real. So instead of just looking at the slide, we're doing this exact lesson, cows in a barn. We're just doing it with our bodies. Yadiel can be my turkey. Need some turkeys. Yadiel, Alana, Camilla, Daniel, Ashton. How many turkeys on this side? 2 plus
3.
And how do we add?
Put it together.
2 plus 3 equals
5.
So 2 plus 3 equals?
5.
Isn't that better than counting cows on a slide? And how do we? Here's the thing. We followed the curriculum. We kept the integrity of the lesson, right? But we made it more engaging, more appropriate, right? And then the next day, we can do the same thing, but it can be hands-on with their manipulatives, right? Working individually. The other thing that is happening, I want you to, is the conversations, right? We're talking. How do we add? What does add mean, right? Having those conversations. So just because the curriculum is using slides doesn't mean we have to do that, right? We can guess what? I had that slide pulled up on my board. So if admin came in, the slide was there. We're just making the lesson better. So just some things to think about. Yadiel. So now, what I do not want you to think I'm saying is we cannot use screen time at all in our classroom. No, we can use the screens. It's okay. We just need to be better about it. we need to be more selective about it. So screen time, it should be interactive phonics and math lessons. And this is actually I did research around this, trying to figure out like what's the best way to use screens in the classroom. So one of the things that popped up consistently was interactive phonics lessons with word building, visuals and videos, which of course we know, and explain the why. This is a big one. This one really got me. The kids should know why we're using the screen to help them learn. So I'm going to say, hey, we're learning about groundhogs. So I'm going to show you this little video about groundhogs so you can see real groundhogs and how they live, how they eat, how they move, what their burrows look like. So giving them the reason as to how the screen is helping us is a big part of it. And the thing is, we want kids touching, talking, building, and thinking, not just staring at the screen. So we're looking for ways to make it interactive. All right. One of the things that we do is that visuals, right? When we learn about space, I pull up the actual Hubble photographs from NASA of the planets and we look at those. That's good use of screen time because we're getting to see something that we wouldn't never be able to see otherwise, right? It builds schema. It can build that background knowledge, right? We can use these videos and pictures and images, visuals to clarify confusing concepts, right? When I'm playing videos in my classroom about stuff, we stop it. We talk about it. I rewind it. So it's really great for those visuals. We know our kids need those. That's a great use of those screen time. The other thing is interactive. And so we started using these interactive word building tools in our classroom several years ago. Kids love them. Great use of screen time because they're touching, they're moving, they're building, they're thinking, they're talking. Everybody read your word. Guess what? I'm also watching the kids and I can see if they struggle with something and I can make mental notes of that.
Say,
right? So this is the same thing, but these are themed letters. And so it's, again, novelty, right? We could use that same one all year long. The kids love it. It's great. But also in January, we could use mitten letters. We just add a little bit of that novelty.
Bat. Go. Gate.
Okay? So just some ways to use screen time better. So we're not just staring at slides all day. The other thing I do with my screen is set the stage. And so when we're learning about groundhogs, I put a picture of a groundhog on there and that's it. Like it's just there for ambiance. We're not looking at it. We're not staring at it all day. It's just there as a background, right? So think about that. I know we're running short on time, so I'm gonna move on. Community refresh. This is a big one because I know behaviors are challenging. And so if we're looking to refresh that classroom community, that sense of family, I encourage you to refresh and bring in morning meeting. Because here's the thing, morning meeting builds community. It builds family. It gives us an opportunity to bond, to get to know each other, to share lives, to address issues in the classroom. If your kids are struggling with getting along, talking to each other, following directions, morning meeting not going to solve all the problems, but it can definitely help. It definitely makes an impact. All right. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on the morning meeting. That's a whole webinar, whole session on itself. But real quick, here's our morning meeting. First, we have a greeting every day. We learn a greeting on Monday. We use it all week. The greeting is important because it lets the kids know they are seen, they are valued, they belong. That right there is going to help. Here are a couple of greeting ideas for you. Pass the rows. And so they're going to say good morning to each other as they pass the rows. Another greeting would be just literally turn and give a fist bump. We do some PowerPoint greetings where I have a picture on the screen and their faces pop up. So maybe it pops up out of a disco ball or pops up out of the chicka chicka boom boom tree. Just something where the kids are talking and saying good morning to each other. So they look at each other, they say good morning, they say each other's name. Lots of greetings on our website. We have lots of resources for that. It's important because they're saying names. After we greet each other, we have sharing time. The sharing time is when we talk. We share our lives, our interests, our fears, what's happening at home, what's happening in the classroom. We talk. We learn about each other. The more we know about each other, the more we can support and help and understand and be better friends. Here's a little peek into what it sounds like when we share.
I went to the ice cream shop.
All right, questions.
What color ice cream you got? Vanilla and chocolate.
So I got
Vanilla and chocolate.
So
What
they're
was that?
sharing, they're talking to each other, they're asking questions to get more information. We're speaking in full sentences. Lots of great things happening. But that sharing time, we get to know each other. The more we know, the better. After we share, we do an activity. You want to know why we do an activity? Because it's fun. It's a great way to get the kids up and moving and have some fun in the morning. All right. But also, probably more important than anything, fine motor skills. We work on fine motor skills with these activities because guess what our kids need? Guess what they're lacking? Fine motor skills. So every day, we're getting some fine motor practice. These are fun. They can be academic, not academic. They're really great for teamwork, collaboration, focus, fine motor skills. Here's a great one for February, or really any time of the year. Pass the Hershey Kiss. So it's a plastic spoon and there's a chocolate kiss. And everybody has a spoon and they're trying to pass it without dropping it. So they're just passing the kiss. And then the last part of our morning meeting is our morning message because we know kids need structure, routine. They need to know what's happening. The more they know about what's coming up that day, hopefully it helps with some of their anxiety, some behavior issues. So there's the morning message, gives them a plan for the day, and it has some interactive work where we're working on phonics and math skills. Guess what this is? Review. It's our review. It's more review. Remember, we talked about that. And so when we do our morning message, there's some review in there. So there's that everyday review that we need. And for example, this is data driven. Kids are struggling with middle vowel sounds, right? And so we're doing that in the morning message. Now, I know that was like the fastest morning meeting talk ever. Again, that was just kind of to give you an overview, lots of information on our website, resources available. But if you're really looking to refresh that community in your classroom, that sense of belonging, that sense of family, if you're really looking for high impact refresh when you head back in January, morning meeting is what you're looking for. I swear, I've done it for 14, 15 years. It's the single biggest impact that I've seen in my classroom in all those years. Right? Another thing, when we're thinking about that community, that sense of belonging, student names. Again, I know this sounds like I'm preaching to the choir, but there's a lot of research out there that talks about the importance of kids seeing their names. Not only do we know their names, but seeing their names in the classroom in different areas, in different ways. And so we want to make sure that we're displaying student names as much as we can in the classrooms. In fact, in a survey, and this is in college, but it's still something that it applies. Students said in a survey that having their name known with name tags, name tents, etc., made them feel welcome, seen, and connected. Same thing works for our kids. If they see those names in the classroom, they know they belong. And then, of course, with early childhood, there's that literacy tie-in, right? Learning names, letters, print awareness, right? And it's more motivation to read. So lots of reasons to put the names in the classroom. And again, I know this is a beginning of the year, like, oh, I put my names up. But this is a good refresh, a good thing to think about in your classroom. How can you do it differently? How can you make it more fun? So one thing I do, every month I print off name tags to go around our smartboard, and I just tape them around the smartboard. So we go back in January, it's disco balls, hearts in February, shamrocks and clovers in March. And so they're all disco themed. clip art. So the kids love that. They love coming in and seeing what those are, right? So another thing that we do with names is we hang them from the ceiling. So every month I change these out for whatever holiday or theme or what we're learning. So like this is in April, which is Unicorn Day is in April. So I have the unicorns hanging from the ceiling and every kid has one. So again, it's a fun way to display their name. There's nothing tied to this, right? It's not a work display, not attendance, nothing like that. It's just for fun, but they see their name. Now, maybe you can't hang things from the ceiling. No biggie. Tape them on the door, tape them on the wall, right? Display their name. So I know it seems silly, right? It seems kind of obvious, but it's one of those little tweaks that we can make in our classroom that makes a difference. Organization. Think about an area in your classroom that drives you bonkers. It's always a hot mess. Organize it. For me, it was my small group area. It's always the small group area. It always looked like this. Now it looks like this sometimes. So organize those areas. Subplans. Big one. Here's what I do. This is a great refresh for the second half of the year, especially because of germs. Print off subplans for each month and then put them in a bin with everything they need. So the plans are there, the copies are there. For us, there's a read aloud, and then they need construction paper to go along with one of the activities. It's all there for every month. So if I have to be out sick, or if one of my daughters is sick and I have to have that like last minute absence, boom, ready to go. Organized, less stress. So that's a good organizational refresh. This is a big one. Get yourself an index card file with the dividers and organize your beginning sound cards so that when you're working in small groups or even whole group and you need picture cards for a certain sound, you know exactly where to find them and you're not digging through piles of cards. Binder, keep a binder to keep all of your plans, your data, documentation. It's all in one place. I love my binder. It has my lesson plans, small group documentation, data, parent communication. It's all in there. So when I go to data meetings, I have it with me. Speaking of data, this is a big one. Data refresh. Listen, we need to take something off your plates. You don't have enough time to do all the things. So data refresh using ESGI. Here's why I love ESGI. It's one-on-one. I can create custom assessments. I can do it on my computer or my laptop. I literally can do it anywhere in the classroom. It's quick. It takes just a few minutes to assess my kids on a skill. I get real-time data, real-time in the moment data that I can act on. It's valid and it's actionable. So I can take that data and immediately form small groups or immediately tweak my whole group instruction to meet the needs of my students. What I love about ESGI, all the things, but also it has these really useful reports. It's one-on-one. You assess the kids with pre-made assessments or your own assessments that you create, and immediately you get a pie graph that fills in. They love seeing their circle fill in, and they also get this. It's a growth line. And so it shows the kids, you started here, but you're up here. Great conversation starter, great for student data chats, talking about, look how much you're learning, look at how your hard work is paying off. Hey, guess what? If you want that line to keep going, here's what we can do. Some really great opportunities to talk to your kids. This is one of my favorite reports because I can easily target my gaps in my learning in my class with this report. So you assess the kids and then you pull this report. ESGI automatically generates it. You just click on it and there it is. It's the most missed items report, the item analysis. So this one was a sight word assessment. So we need little, was, what, your. Those are our most missed sight words. So I know that that's where my instruction needs to be targeted. And so I can take that information, I can target those gaps, and I can really push my kids forward. And it just took me a few minutes. It also, this is a big one, people love this, instantly generates parent letters. So every time I assess kids, I can send home a parent letter that says, here's what I tested your kids on, here's what they got right, here's what they missed, and to go along with that, it makes flashcards to send home. Take something off your plate. Data refresh. Sign up for ESGI using the code SMORGY. It gets you a 60-day free trial. And listen, it's going to save you time. It is going to lower your stress level. It is really going to help you target instruction, form those small groups. It's just going to make everything in your classroom easier because it's all done for you. It's instant, it's real, it's actionable, and the kids love it because it's one-on-one time with you as well. Whew, that was a lot. All right, let's talk a little bit about special offers. Because you were with us for the webinar, we always want to give you some exclusive special offers to help take what you learned in the webinar into your classroom. So we have some special webinar exclusive offers. These are only good for the next 2 hours. Again, the links are appearing. You will also receive an email after this webinar with those links. Take advantage of those in the next 2 hours. Our first one are the digital word building tools that you saw me using. You're going to get both of these, the original regular word building and the themed. The themed comes with 13 different themed word building tools for the whole year. Both of those in a bundle, regular price $12. You're going to get those for $8.99. But we know a lot of people already have the original. So if you just want the themed slides for digital word building, you're going to get those for $4.99 instead of $8. We talked about morning meeting. We have a morning meeting bundle, which has morning messages, greetings, activities, everything you need for morning meeting. Regular price $43. You're getting the entire bundle, $14.99. That's a year's worth of morning meeting activities, greetings, messages, actually more than a year's worth. Literally everything you need for morning meeting. I also put together this little refresh bundle of some of the things I talked about in the webinar, but also we talked a lot about like curriculum and how we're so like hemmed in. A good way to have some fun in your classroom that only takes like 5 minutes, make hats. New Year's Day, make a hat. Valentine's Day, make a hat. Groundhog Day, make a hat. Maybe you can't do a whole theme, a whole unit, but you can make a hat to celebrate. So our refresh bundle is our year-long hats and crowns resource, our embedded mnemonic cards, and our editable classroom decor. The unicorn, those name templates, that's what those are. So we're going to get all these refresh products, regular price $16, you're going to get them for $7.99. And you got to have a doorbell, right? So doorbells are $24.99, but for webinar attendees, you're getting free shipping. There's the code WEBJAN, WEBJAN. You can order that at tksstore.com. You enter in that code. It is not on TPT. Ignore that. It's only available at tksstore.com. When you put the doorbell in your cart, put in the code WEBJAN, and you'll get free shipping. Listen, I know this has gone long, but if you get nothing else, if you take nothing away from this webinar, this is what I want you to do the second half of the year. Have more fun, sing, dance, wear the costumes, do the art projects, make the snack, laugh and giggle, have more fun. You need it. Your kids need it. You deserve it. The kids deserve it. So let's bring some more fun back into our classrooms. And I know it's hard. I know behaviors are a lot, but this will help. So let's head back into the second half of the school year. Let's refresh, not restart. Let's make some tweaks. Let's ring some doorbells. Let's review. Let's practice. Let's work on handwriting. Let's get some chalkboards, and let's have some more fun. And don't forget, you get an exclusive freebie. Here's your exclusive freebie. It is a free flashlight activity. These have been so popular. Y'all are loving these new resources that we're creating. Here it is. Nothing there. And we shine the light through. Woo! Kids love these. Obsessed. So you're getting this free file. They're peanut butter and jelly. And it comes with 4 recording sheets. So tracing, letters, and sounds, and mnemonics. And so that's our way of saying thank you for being part of the webinar. Thank you for all that you do. Here, this is a freebie to support you in your classroom. Guess what? These work with flashlights on a light box, or you can only print the letter cards where you can see the letters, and you have a center or a small group activity. So it's very, very useful, very good freebie. So take advantage of it, use it, and let me know what you think of it. And don't forget, special offers, digital word building bundle, regular price $12. You get it for $8.99. If you want just the 13 themed word building slides, $4.99. Our morning meeting bundle, which is more than a year's worth of morning messages, greetings, and activities, regular price $43. You get it for $14.99. Our refresh bundle, hats for the year, embedded mnemonic cards, editable classroom name decor, $7.99, regular price $16. And our doorbell is $24.99. Use the code WEBJAN, tksstore.com for free shipping. Get yourself a doorbell on a sparkly lanyard, 38 ringtones, extra loud, created by teachers for teachers. Y'all, thank you for hanging out for this webinar. I hope that you're ready to make some tweaks. I hope you are ready to refresh your classroom as you head into the second half of the school year. I know it's hard the second half. It's long, it's dark, it's cold. Have fun. Go into this year, this second half, with a refreshed mindset. Make some tweaks, make some changes, have fun, and know that what you're doing matters. You are making a difference. You are changing lives and changing the world. And we are so incredibly thankful for you and what you do. We appreciate you. We see you. We hear you. And we stand with you always. Thank you again for being a part of this webinar. And we'll see you soon.